watching Broad Horizons. Have you ever felt that you're losing the plot, unravelling a little? Well, we're speaking today to director of a film called Evolving Minds, which gives some practical self-help ideas for people who do feel that they're just unravelling a little bit. This is Melissa Gunasena.
Hello, Helen.
So, what's the film about?
Evolving Minds is a guide to self-help techniques that people can use to improve their mental health, and it's also looking at the connection between spirituality and what's called psychosis and alternatives to psychiatry.
Why did you make it? What brought it about?
Well, I got locked up in mental hospital myself, very much against my will, and none of the information that enabled me to kind of get out and live my life and have a happy, healthy life, none of that information was available to me in mental hospital. The only treatment, if you can call it treatment, that was offered was forcing me to take very toxic pharmaceutical drugs.
So you felt that there was something else that you would be able to do, and you went out and found out about it?
Very much so, yeah. In the film we look at nutritional therapy, shamanic techniques, shamanic trance, meditation, creative therapies. So yeah, there are a number of things that people can do.
Sounds really interesting. Perhaps we should just have a little look at a clip of the film and see for ourselves.
Yeah.
Fancy a nut? Under the 1983 Mental Health Act, people can be detained and medicated against their will. This is known as being sectioned and can only be enforced in the interest of the patient's own health or safety, or with a view to the protection of other people. Contrary to popular belief, most psychotic people are not violent. According to government statistics, you are 13 times more likely to be killed by a sane person you've never met before than by someone with a mental health diagnosis. Despite this, the government wants to bring in new laws to increase compulsory detention and introduce forced medical treatment in the community. Under the current Act, a person can only be forced to take medication whilst in hospital. Under the proposed reforms, anyone who refuses whilst in the community can be forcibly medicated.
People's human rights are violated every day in these hospitals all the time, and they go unrecognised. And the things on the back of the T-shirt express very clearly what happens to someone once they've linked in with the mental health system as it stands.
Okay, so these are techniques that you've put into practice yourself and found benefit from, and enabled you to live a so-called normal life.
Yeah. I think the problem with the traditional psychiatric system is that once people get hooked into it, they end up in a kind of hamster wheel of being given very strong drugs, being in hospital, coming out of hospital, having quite a poor quality of life, going back into hospital. And I feel very fortunate in that, having been aware of alternatives to psychiatry and using them, that, as you say, I've been able to have a very normal life.
And the film's been very successful as well. Can you tell me a little bit how it's been received, distributed? I mean, it's an independently made film, isn't it? So how have you got it seen?
Well, I've showed it all around the UK, in all kinds of different places, from hospitals to cinemas to working men's clubs, festivals, and I've also run a lot of workshops training people using the film, and I've been invited to go to America to go on a tour showing it around the States. That'll be this autumn. And we've also sold it. We also sell it on the internet through a number of different sites, including mental health charities.
Okay, so just for you to know, that film is available from the Undercurrents site, www.undercurrents.org. and it's on the Broad Horizons DVD. So that's it's a 40-minute film, isn't it?
Yeah, 45-minute film.
Yeah. And how's it been received by the psychiatric profession?
Well, there's actually been a lot more interest recently in looking at spirituality and nutritional therapy. It's on an academic level, it's received with great interest. It's actually, one psychiatrist even recommended that all mental health professionals should watch it, which is very encouraging. I've also shown it at the Institute of Psychiatry in London.
And you've written a chapter recently for a book coming out?
Yeah, I've recently written a chapter for a textbook on mental health for university students and professionals.
Do you think it's going to take a while then for this to be taken on by mainstream mental health care? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the nature of the psychiatric system and the fact that it is centred around forced medication, compulsory medication, it's and the fact that they're under-resourced and understaffed. On the wards, the actual reality is that the system's geared towards just sedating people.
Right. So your message is very much do it yourself.
Very much so. Yeah. The whole aim of the film is to try and keep people out of psychiatric hospitals and empowering themselves to look after their own mental health.
Yeah. So once again, there, if you want to take control of your mental health, if you want to find alternatives to the mental health system and to medication, really, then take a look at Evolving Minds, available through the internet on the Undercurrents website, www.undercurrents.org. And just to talk about your next project, one of the things that you brought up in the film is it shamans or shamans?
Well, some people say shaman, some people say shaman. I think the correct pronunciation is shaman. It's a Siberian word, which means a shaman, someone who travels between different realities in order to do work or sometimes do battle in the spirit world with different spirits in order to effect change and healing in this reality.
Okay, so you explore this a little bit in the film Evolving Minds, but you're planning a trip to explore that a little bit more. Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm going to be going to South America, specifically to Peru, to explore shamanic practices and techniques.
Okay, so perhaps you'll come back when you've been and sat with the shamans and tell us a little bit about that.
I'll tell you all about it.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Melissa Gunnison.